I am Ellen Freud. I'm CEO and recruitment consultant at smartrecruitment.com. For you guys who doesn't know about our company, we are a recruitment agency 100% focused on the iGaming industry with Asia, Europe, Latin America, and recently also looked into more in North American market. But obviously today with Asia being our focus, that's where I'm going to be focusing as well. So in terms of where companies are resetting up operations today, and I'm going to have a little bit of a different view on this, obviously coming from a recruitment agency's perspective, which is quite different than what Danny is coming from. But in overall, being on the recruitment agency side of things, we are constantly informed and updated, which markets are the new markets our clients are opening up their operations in due to the hiring needs that they have. So looking at the markets that we see that our clients in Asia are opening more offices in and reopening their offices in is countries like obviously Philippines, Taiwan, Malaysia, Thailand, and Dubai. And to start off with the Philippines, like we all know, this has been the iGaming hub of Asia for a very long time, and we believe it's continuing to be so as well. There, of course, were a lot of movements during and after the pandemic. There were also movements due to licenses like Pigo and the changes with the Pogo license. However, based on the current needs that our clients are having for recruitment, this is a major market for us still. As for Taiwan, it's also a big market where operations are continuing to set up. However, here it wasn't the same, from our view, kind of movement in terms of companies moving out during the pandemic. So they were kind of a steady market, at least from our view on the B2B clients over there. They were able to find remote or hybrid setups that worked well during the pandemic that they kept on using thereafter. As for Malaysia and Thailand, these two markets are, I would say, one of the markets that we have a very, very high demand from not only current clients, but also new clients who are opening up offices in. But due to the sensitivity, like Danny also mentioned to earlier, it's, from our view, much more done under the radar. It's not a very official hirings that they do. But we have a very high demand of people wanting to hire their employees in these specific markets due to various reasons. And lastly, I would say that Dubai is also one of those markets where we have had clients ongoing, but also continue to see that more and more companies are leaning towards opening up their offices in. It could be from various reasons, like Danny mentioned, also for tax purposes. And I think also one of the reasons is the time zone convenience due to in Dubai, it's only about 3 to 4 hours difference, approximately now, give or take, for a lot of the Asian countries, basically. From our view, it's a little bit more focused on iGaming, crypto, related companies opening their operations here, but both B2B and B2C companies. And besides, which markets that we see our clients are targeting to opening their offices in, I thought I can just briefly give some insights from our recruitment agency's perspective in terms of where we see that our clients want to target, which markets that they want to target with these offices, basically. And in terms of the main markets that we see a very high demand of the target markets is markets like Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, Malaysia, and India. Clients having a very high demand for experts in these markets, as well as experts in markets, for example, in Japan and Korea. And like Danny also mentioned, in terms of something that has been coming more and more to us in terms of inquiries from clients in Asia is actually setting up operations for Brazil. So of course, there can be companies that are, wanting to open operations out of Brazil or remotely out of South America, but we actually have a lot of operators running operations in Asia who are targeting Brazil from Asia. And these are markets that they want to grow their market share in. So the typical positions, that they're hiring for are all very focused on the market growth, basically. So any positions involving acquisition and conversion, business development and sales, product development, any kind of market strategic positions, as well as developers and payments. And then going to the last bit, which I guess I can give a little bit more insight in from a recruiter's perspective, obviously, is basically how to hire the best industry professionals. And this is something that I often repeat, talking to candidates, talking to clients, and that is that it's the candidates market. It's a high demand and a low supply. What I mean by that is that there is a higher demand than supply of qualified iGaming professionals in this iGaming industry. So if you as an employer talk to an interesting candidate for a position within your organization, you can count on that they are talking to 4 to 5 other companies at the same time who wants them to join their company. So this means that how you present your company, how you have your employer brand, how your recruitment process is being done is extremely important in order to convince this person to start working for your company in specific. Besides only the recruitment process being important, something that I like to highlight is the word positive candidate experience. And the reason to that is candidates have a tendency to talk to people in their network, to talk to their friends, they talk to people that they meet in events like these about their experience with certain companies. This can be good experiences, it can also be bad experiences. So, like we all know, one negative feedback is going to weigh more than 10 positive ones. So it's important to have a good strategy of how to hire these professionals in order to not stain your employer brand, basically. And a few things that you can do to avoid this happening is basically to update candidates about the application ongoing, keep them in the loop about what is going on, what's the next step going to be like, what are the feedback from the last interviewer that they had. Make the interview process very clear from the start. So what I mean by that is tell them how many interviews this is going to be, who are going to be the interviewers, are there going to be any kind of tasks, what is the timeline of this process, like how many weeks do they think that is going to be between the first and the last interview. The more details, the better. There cannot be something, I think, as too many details to make the candidates be able to prepare properly for the interviews. Another thing that is important to mention is to keep the hiring process as short as possible. Obviously, it's very important that you take your time to evaluate your candidates if they're going to be the best fit for your organization. However, having too many interviews, like going over 4 to 5 and plus interviews, there is a risk that candidates will lose interest. There is a risk that other companies might snap them from your hands. But there's also a risk that they might question, why are you not able to evaluate me after 5 interviews? So without stressing, obviously, try to keep a short hiring process, as short as possible. And also, which is very important to remember, is that once you have managed to convince this person and hire this person for your company, that once you're onboarding them, you have to have a good onboarding strategy and a positive onboarding strategy to make them feel involved from the start, to make them up and running as soon as possible, obviously being able to perform as soon as possible. And having a good onboarding experience is also a way to make sure to retain this employee that you just hired, basically. And overall, as for employer branding, remember that your employer brand is how both current and potential employees sees your company, what values that you have, and what it would like to be to work at your company, basically. So employer brand affects the recruitment of new employees, the retention and engagement of current employees, and also the overall perception of your company in the market. So the more focus and time you spend on bringing up your employer brand, the more it will attract new excited candidates to decide to work for your company. And this would also be employees then that is sharing the same values and visions as you are. And from experience in being in this industry and doing this for about 6 years now, we know that specifically the top performers in this industry, the professionals that you want to work for your organization, they do their research. They will look at your social media. They will look at your websites. They will talk to people who might be working at your company at the moment, who used to work at your company, who used to interview with your company. So the employer brand is extremely important to make sure that you get the best people to decide to work for your company. And the last thing that is worth mentioning is basically something that we have seen is very, very valuable today among majority of the candidates that we speak to. And from our view as a recruitment agency, the pandemic and the following years have made candidates today seek for flexibility when looking for a new job. So this means, for example, full remote positions, hybrid setups, or other flexible setups according to the candidates, basically. So I think it's important for an employer today to think like, what can we offer as a modern employer in 2023? And as mentioned, some examples of these remote or these flexible work solutions can be, as mentioned, in remote, hybrid, where you work maybe a couple of days in the office, a couple of days at home. If that is not possible, because I know it doesn't work in all organizations and all positions, flex time or customized work hours can also be something that candidates really, really value. I mean, until maybe a few years ago, 4 to 5 years ago, I would say that salary was the main thing that candidates were looking for a new job. They just wanted a higher salary. This is, of course, still an important part when changing to a new job. However, today, the flexibility can even be a stronger negotiation alternative for a candidate. And it can, in many cases, also be more requested from the candidate. So if you will offer some kind of flexibility within your organization, whatever it might be, you might also then be able to not have to pay much higher salary for this person to join and on board with your company. And that was actually all from me today on these topics as well. Any questions regarding what I just went through? Okay, Dov.
Dov, 1 minute, please.
Wait, I can't hear you, sorry.
Dov, 1 minute.
Hello, how are you?
Hey.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So you just say high salary and flexibility. What type of flexibility? Because for me, it's a high salary, bonus, share on the company. Today, which one is working for you, or what you see in the market? Which one is working? I tried 3 of them, doesn't work. How do you get more motivation on a team or more on an employee, individual?
You mean like what type of flexibility that candidates are asking for? I mean, overall, looking at the candidates that we have in our database that we're talking to constantly, I would say it's a mix of the salary and the flexibility in terms of remote. Like, there's a very, very high focus on the remote side of things, and this is because the pandemic, created so many digital nomads. Everyone wants to be able to work from wherever they want. They value work-life balance. And studies even show that if you have more work-life balance, that also increases the performance. When it comes to the salary part, I would say it really depends what seniority that you're hiring for. Usually candidates with a little bit of a lower or less experience, they ask for more in terms of a more solid basic and maybe a smaller commission part, while more industry, like people with more industry experience, they're so confident in what they can perform in their work. So they are more open to having a even sometimes we have candidates dropping their basic salary very low to have a very generous either commission and bonus setup, based on the profit, depending on that's more in the director and C-level positions. But also, obviously, when it comes to startups, to have a chance to have shares and equity in the company.
Thank you.
You have a question? Yeah, sure.
Hi. Yeah, because we spoke about AI and all the changes it will bring the other day, I'm wondering from your point of view, because you're right there when it comes to staffing, what jobs do you think will die first because of AI? And what future opportunities, what are the jobs of the future that everyone should be getting into now?
I mean, I don't think that any job completely is going to die out of AI, because there's still going to be need to have like a human factor. Obviously, I would say that the positions that are not going to be as affected by AI would be any kind of like, going to events, sales positions, I would say marketing strategy positions, even looking at recruitment, because obviously there's so many tools out there that we are evaluating as well to use in our business to help, give better service to our clients in terms of AI. But you still need that, human factor in terms of the interviewing the candidates, getting that feeling, talking to them, rather than what an AI can do. I would guess that the AI will be more challenging in terms of the business intelligence roles, the data analytics related kind of positions. I think that's what I can share in terms of that question. Thank you.
Thank you.